Hi guys, Jamie here from JB Motion. In today's video, we're going to be creating this. So this is a very short clip. It's called the Mantato. It's a man, but he's a potato. So that's what we're going to be making. Don't ask me where I come up with the idea for Mantato. I guess I like potatoes, and so I said I'd bring a potato to life for this video. It is a short clip, but it does take a hell of a long time to make. That's why you can see, if you're looking down at the length of this, it's about 2 hours long. So there is quite a lot to cover in this, but there's a lot to be learned. We're going to be starting off by creating the mouth. We're going to be modeling the mouth using splines, and we're going to be using a Loft object, which makes this mouth modeling really, really easy to set up and also really, really easy to edit going forward. We're then going to be attaching the mouth to the potato, that is Mantato, and we're going to be using the Pose Morpgh Tag to allow us to animate the mouth in a really easy way. I have covered this before in a previous video, so I'm going to put the link to that in the top of the video right now. I did say I'd be putting it up at the top later on in the video, but I'm just going to do it at the start. It's also going to be in the description below if anybody's interested. Once we've modeled the mouth, we're then going to be texturing up Mantato. I have found a really cool potato texture that you guys can also download from the description below. We're going to be adding the eyeballs, the eyebrows, and we're also going to be creating that little capsule that Mantato is in at the very start that you've seen in the intro video. Once we have all that done, we're going to animate everything so that the Mantato, he's kind of asleep and then he wakes up with a really menacing look. We're going to bring everything into After Effects once it's rendered out. We're going to add our sound effects, which is also downloadable from the description below. And we're going to be adding a little end title to the end of our video, which again, you guys can download all of that from the description below. So again, it is a long one, the longest one I've ever done. I'm going to stop saying that because they keep getting longer. But there is a lot to be learned in this video. So I hope you guys can stick around to the end. So let's get started on this. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to grab a four-sided spline, and we are going to go and make this editable. Click on it, hit C on your keyboard. That makes it editable, and now if we go into point mode, we can see that we have a total of 4 points. We need to subdivide this. So US on your keyboard, and now we have a total of 8 points. So you can see them there. 8 points. So we're going to make a kind of a mouth shape out of this. So let's grab our rectangle selection tool, and we can grab these two and hold down shift to grab these 4 in total, and we can move these forward or back. No, we'll grab these ones actually. We'll grab all of these 6. So I have 6 points selected. Move those back, and then we'll deselect by holding down Control. Deselect those ones, and then we can move this one, these 2, back like that. So we're kind of looking like we have a mouth there. Shape one anyway. I'm going to grab these 2 again, making sure that I just have those 2 and those 2 selected. 4 points. And I'll move those back a little bit, and then I'm just going to grab these 2 in the front. Actually, I'm going to grab all of these 6 points, and I'm going to get my scale tool. Now, I'm new to these icons. This is my first time really using the new layout here, the new icons in Cinema, so excuse me if I'm struggling with these for this tutorial. Just going to scale these all down. Okay, so that's the mouth, and we are going to duplicate this. And now we have another kind of a 4-sided spline, which we're just going to go into object mode. Just scale this down. And we're gonna, what are we gonna do? We're gonna push this out a little bit. So you can see that the lips are going to start here, they're going to come down, and they're going to go around and back into the mouth. Now I have a whole tutorial explaining in detail what I'm doing here, so I'll put that in a link up in the top of the screen right now. We're going to duplicate this again, and we're going to scale this down again. I'm going to bring this back this time, and I'm going to go into point mode, grab this point and this point. So we have those 2 points. I'm going to scale those out a little bit. And I'm going to pull them back. So let's just have a look at this now. So our lips are going to start here, go down like that. I might grab this point as well and this point and scale those down. Now I'm going to duplicate this again. I'm holding down Control, bringing this back. I want to go into object mode so I get the whole spline. Bring that back, and I'm going to just scale this whole thing up along the Y. And that's kind of our lips set up there. We can refine this later on if we need to. Pull that back. I'm going to duplicate this again. Now undo that because I want these to be in order. And bring that back, and this is going to be the inside of the mouth. Well, we've already done, like this one's already kind of the start of the inside of the mouth. So this one then, we're just going to scale this right up and pull that all the way back. So the mouth gets bigger as it goes inside of it, as mouths do. Let's duplicate this, bring it back, and this is going to be quite small. It's going into the throat area. So the throat's getting smaller. And we can grab the point mode and hit Control A, select all the points, and we can just kind of flatten that out by scaling everything down along the Z-axis. And now we can go back into object mode and rotate this a little bit. Let's duplicate this again. And we're going to hit space to go back to our previously selected tool. I'm going to go down. I'm going to scale this even more and rotate it, or my keyboard to rotate that even more again. So now this is ready. We can put this into a lathe. Again, if you want more detail on what I'm actually doing here, you can check out the video that I linked earlier in this video. I'll put it in the description as well. So let's grab a lathe tool. Now, where is, oh, here it is. Okay, so this is going to be the lathe. We're going to grab all of these. They have to be in this specific order. Make them all a child of the lathe object. What have we done here now? So let's see. Maybe we have this in the wrong. Oh, sorry. We're not using a lathe at all. We are going to be... Well, let's have a look. What else have we got? A loft, not a lathe, guys. Lathe is different. We're using a loft, so make sure, just get rid of that lathe. We're going to be putting all of these inside of a loft. So now that looks more like a mouth. I was wondering what was going on there. And grab your loft, go into the object tab, or caps tab, and we're going to turn off start caps, so we actually have a mouth opening. And let's hit NB on a keyboard so we can see our segments. And we can go into our object tab and we can bring the mesh subdivisions. I think we have to bring them, if I just disable this loft, select one of these, go into points mode and select all. We've 8 points, so I believe that we have to have an equal number of mesh subdivisions on the U. We can bring the mesh subdivisions on the V all the way down, and we can bring that all the way down as well. We'll leave that as is for now, actually. And let's have a look at this. So we kind of have our lips going, and it goes into a mouth. And if we now just select this, hold down Alt, and let's pop this into a subdivision surface object. You can see that that smooths everything out. Hit NA on my keyboard. And that kind of smoothens everything out. Okay, so I'm going to go MB again so I can see my segments and turn off this subdivision surface for now. And I'm going to see if there's any improvements I can make to this mouth with using these splines. So in point mode, I'm just going to grab some points at random and just see what happens when I start moving stuff around. I might as well keep on the subdivision surface for this. I'm going to turn off my lines. So if I bring that in, let's grab both of those points, scale those in so we can have kind of lips that kind of look more like webbed lips. I'm not going to do anything with those. Let's see. What if we grab this one? We push this forward a bit. Or this one even, and push this one back. So we can get kind of more thicker lips there. Let's turn off the work plane. Where is it? Work plane, filter. Work plane, where are you? Where is the work? There you are. Okay. So we can get like thicker lips. If we scale it all down, we can even increase the juiciness of those lips. Scale it down along the X. Make sure to select rectangle selection. Select the two, those 2 points there. Let's scale these down like that. Excuse me. Let's grab this one and let's see if we just move it all back in model mode. Okay, model mode, not object mode. Push this forward a bit actually. So you can see we're getting more defined lips now. And we go to the next one, just pull this back a bit more, pull it forward. So I'm just kind of messing around to see what I get. Scale it up, scale it down, scale this one up, scale this one up and down. Just checking what each of these are doing for me. And you know, it's not like it's looking very smooth. If we increase this, we get a much smoother. If you go into your subdivision surface, turn up the subdivision editor up to 3, we get a much smoother result. But we're going to get more polygons, obviously, but it still looks better. Going back to the first spline again, and I'm just going to recheck everything. Okay. So I had this like this earlier, and obviously that was wrong. This spline should be up like that. That's what we want. And out like that. So we get those nice lips there. That's what I was going for. And how I got it? Well, I mean, some people would be able to just kind of look at this mess and be like, that should be up there and not down here, and this, I'll undo that, so I don't, and this should be in there and up there like that. But what I like to do is I kind of set it all up roughly, and then I turn on the loft, and then I just kind of mess around with the splines. What did I do there? Yeah, and I just mess around with the splines until it starts looking good. Probably not the best way to do it if you're trying to do it quickly, of course, but it works for me anyway. Grab this one and maybe scale it up a bit. Scale it down, scale it up. Might just go into point mode for this. grab my rectangle selection, grab these 2 points and scale these up like that. And I might grab these 2 outer, grab these 2, come on rectangle selection tool, grab that one, that point, and then I'll scale these more like that. Something like that. And I think I'm happy enough with this mouth. I might pull down the throat a bit more so you can kind of not, so you can't see the end of it. So that's the last one here. I'll just go into model mode and just bring this down like that. So you can kind of see that it actually looks like it goes all the way down. And I'll grab this one and I'll just scale the whole thing down. Or maybe up. Maybe I'll just, yeah, like that. I don't know what I did. I don't know whether I scaled it up or down there. But again, I'm just messing with this, trying to make it look good. Okay, so that's kind of our mouth done. Next, we're gonna kind of be making the face of this Mantato. So I'm gonna grab this spline here, hold down control and bring it up to the top. Now we're going to be able to scale this up, and then you're going to see we're going to get a bit of a face. And if I go into model mode, I was going to say object mode, that's why I went model mode, and pull this back a little bit, pull it forward even, pull it back. Go into point mode, rectangle selection tool, just going to grab this and this, this and this, and I'm just going to scale these up along the Y so that they kind of, so that they're more, that line there is straighter anyway, and I'm going to do the same along the X, like that. So you can see that we're kind of building up a bit of a face here. Grab the whole lot. And hang on, let's just see if I just select the points that I had selected and pull those ones back, it kind of looks a bit better than grabbing the whole lot. So what I mean by grabbing the whole lot is if I was to grab all of the points and move those back, that wouldn't have looked as good, I think. Okay. Pretty good. So let's hit NB to see our lines. We have a lot of them. Well, let's turn this off and see what it looks like. It's looking a lot more simpler. Let's go into our Loft object and we can turn off subdivisions per segment. And that'll simplify everything a lot more as well. So turn that off to bring these. That doesn't really make any difference. And this needs to be set to 8 as we had it. Okay. So that's looking a bit cleaner. And that is a mouth. That's a mouth. So what we need to do now is get our Mantato head, body, I mean a potato, it's just a potato. So it's going to be, we're going to use a capsule for this. Boom. And there you have it. It's a potato. Let's just scale this up. Make sure you're in model mode, scale that up. And let's go into the object tab of the capsule and bring down the height. Bring up the radius, bring up the height, bring up the radius, bring up the height, and let's bring this back along the Z. So that's way too big. Let's scale a whole lot down. And that is our Mantato kind of getting closer to being finished, I suppose. Let's have a look at this. Just double check that I am recording. So if I hit NB on my keyboard now, we are going to have to cut a hole in this to make a place to stitch this, or, you know, make this mouse a part of this capsule. So let's first of all save this. I need a place to save it first, and I haven't actually set that up. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this 27 Mantato. And I'm going to create a folder and call it c4d files. Just bear with me for a second. And I'm going to save this into there. Mantato. Okay, cool. Saving your work, guys. Saving your work all the time. Constant saving is the key to keeping your hair for longer. Okay, so let's have a look at this capsule now and go into the segments. Let's just turn that all the way down for now. Cap segments. That would be enough, I'd say. Where are we going to put this mouth? We're going to put it kind of down further, I suppose, or maybe just kind of where it is. Bring this capsule down a bit. Maybe we'll put the mouth right there. So we're going to need another height segment. And if I turn off this subdivision surface object, we're going to see where we're going to be connecting this. Let's reduce the rotation segments down to 12. So you can see if I go into my, let's say, if I just grab this four-side spline, and if I go into point mode, and I see that I have 8 points, so we're going to be connecting this point to this point here. This point we're going to be connecting to this point here. This point is going to be connected to this point here. That one right there. This one to this one. And this one to this one. And this one to this one. And this one to that one. So I think that should be okay. Should be okay. I think that will be okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this loft, hold down Control. I'm just going to bring it down, and I'm going to make it invisible by holding down Alt and double clicking on those little two circles there. And I'm just keeping this just in case I need to go back to the loft, because we are going to make this editable now, and everything's going to be, funnily enough, no longer editable with regards to using the loft anyway. So I'm going to take this out of my subdivision surface. I'm going to hit C on my keyboard, and that turns everything into one single piece of geometry. Now I'm going to grab my capsule, and I'm going to duplicate this as well, and I'm going to make this one invisible, just in case I need to go back to it. Hopefully I won't. And then let's just put these into a null and say, just in case we need to go back to those, we have them. And now we're going to make the capsule editable as well. So select it, hit C. So we have our loft, which is a single piece of geometry, and we have our capsule. So now let's make a hole in the capsule for the mouse to go into. Let's go into Polygon mode, and let's grab our live selection tool, and we can just click and drag to select those 4 polygons. Hit delete on that. And now we're going to get our Polygon Pen Tool. Well, first we need to make these one single piece of geometry as well. So click on both of them, right click, and go to Connect Objects and Delete. Now we just have one piece of geometry for both of those. And Polygon Pen Tool is U and what? Polygon Pen. Where is Polygon Pen Tool? I forget where it is. So I might do a search for it. Shift C to do a search. Polygon Pen. Where is Polygon Pen Tool? Polygon Pen. Come on. Polygon Pen. Okay, there it is. So it's ME. So it's ME. ME. Let's go into edge mode. Select the loft again. And we're going to start. We need to hold down Control, I think. We can just click and drag. Connect that. Same again here. Click and drag. Holding down Control. Clicking and dragging. And holding down Control. Clicking and dragging. Doing that all the way along. Did I mess something up there? Let's go here, go here, go here, and finally go there. Okay, so there's our mouth. It's kind of looking very like Homer Simpson now, the way it's sticking out like that. But we'll be able to fix that with the iron tool if I can find it. So I think it's M and G. M and G for the iron tool. Let's grab this and rename it to Mantato. And we can go into point mode and hit UL on your keyboard to go for loop selection. We're just going to grab this loop, hold down shift and get that loop, hold down shift, get that loop. And we might get this inner lip part as well. And let's just see how the iron tool does if we just kind of click and drag. So I don't know if it's better. Yeah, it's definitely better. But I don't want to do it too much. I don't want to do it too much. I might just get my move tool and just push this all back in. So obviously that's not going to work. It's like something out of Alien. It's like, bleh. That's not going to work. We need to make sure we're grabbing all of the geometry, or all of the loops. So hit UL on your keyboard again. Let's grab this loop in here. And I think that's good enough. Let's see if we can move this back now without messing everything up. I think we need to grab this loop as well. Did I grab the loop? Let's move that back, all of that back. So that's messing it up too. Okay. I might just leave that sticking out. I mean, if I just undo all of that. That's the way it was. And if I just redo the ironing part of that, I think that looks a bit smoother. And if we put all this into our subdivision surface now again, then it's looking way better. Let's turn off the lines, NA in your keyboard. He's got like some dimples going on there. But I think I'm happy enough with that. His mouth could be a bit wider, I suppose, but let's see if we can widen up his mouth a bit. Not quite sure how I'd do that without messing it all up. I mean, that's definitely going to mess it up. Need to get that loop as well. We'll grab this loop as well. So that was UL on your keyboard, and then just select the loop. Scale all this out. Yeah, no, I think I don't want to mess it up too much. So I could try UL, grab this loop again, scale that out. Oh, that might have done it. I don't think I've messed anything up there. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, I think that's kind of done it. He has a nice wide mouth now as opposed to like a really small one. So that's looking a bit better. Cool. Okay. His dimples or whatever these like cheek things are coming out really far. Like if we could push those in a bit, it might look a bit better. Like if I was to grab even the points that are already selected. If I think if I just iron those a bit, MG to iron, and just kind of iron that out a bit. And then let's have a look at that. He's still got those big dimples, so I'm going to undo that, seeing as it didn't make any difference. So it looks like it's this point here. So I just go and select that point and that point. And if I just scale these down a bit, not that much obviously. So they're not sticking out as much. I think I'm happy enough with that. Okay guys, so that's the mouth and that's the body of Mantato. So I'm going to up-revise this. I'm going to do a save as and just give it a different name. You guys don't have to do that. Something I like to do in case I mess something up, need to go back. So I'm just going to do that. Just so you guys can do a Control S. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to be rigging the mouth. Now, we're only going to be rigging the mouth with the intention of animating it with the mouth movements that you guys have seen in the intro of this video. Now, I do cover how you can go about rigging a mouth so it can say a lot of different words, and that is in the video that I linked earlier at the start of this video. So let's get down to this. So we're going to be right-clicking on the Mantato geometry. Right-click and go to rigging tags. We're going to be using a Pose Morpgh Tag, which is here, and we're going to be focusing on animating the points of this. And we have a base pose, which is this. And we're going to create this new pose, which is going to be the first mouth pose that we see at the beginning of the Mantato video when he's asleep in his little capsule thingy. This is going to be the mouth closed pose. And making sure that this edit mode is selected, we can now go and edit this pose. So we're going to go and hit UL on our keyboard, make sure polygon mode is selected, and we're going to grab some loops here. So we're going to grab this loop, and we're going to get this one inside here. And possibly this one. No, deselect that one. And let's just make this mouth closed now. So now it's closed, but his mouth is kind of like, when he's asleep, it's more kind of open. So it's not like all the way closed, so it's more kind of like that. And let's grab our live selection tool, and we're going to hold down Control to deselect, making sure that we've deselected everything other than the corners of his mouth. And we're going to pull these ones down a bit, kind of like that. So that's kind of his asleep mouth. We might widen it a bit. No, we can't widen it unless we select these polygons here. That might let us widen it a bit then. Yeah, kind of like that. And I might bring these ones up ever so slightly. Kind of like that. And I'm going to bring these guys up a little bit as well. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that as is. Might even bring that down a bit. No, I'm going to leave that as is. And if we go back into our Pose Morpgh tag, and if we go to animate now, we can now animate this. So that's his asleep mouth. And you can also go beyond 0 to make something cool. So he's like puckering his lips. We can go beyond 100 as well. You can break it as well, of course, if you go too far. I'm going to set this back to 100. And that's going to be his asleep mouth. His mouth needs to be a bit more closed, I think. So I'm going to UL to grab my loop selection. Make sure I'm in Pose Morph and in edit mode. Grab the loops. And just scale this down so it closes his mouth a bit more. Actually, I'm going to deselect with live selection, deselect these corner ones. And I'm going to close his mouth a bit more. And I might go UL again and grab all of those loops again. And go into live selection again and deselect the middle selections. And I'm going to bring these down a bit more. Kind of like that. And I might even just bring these in a little bit. Yeah, so he's kind of like that when he's asleep. He's got these little kind of dimples on the outer part of his lip. Okay, so that's going to be his sleeping pose. If we animate this, we can go open, sleeping, and his mouth when he kind of wakes up, it's very similar to his sleeping pose. The only thing that happens is he kind of, all he really does is kind of goes like that, I think. Like that. His mouth kind of closes, but it's still kind of like he's kind of got a grin on his face, kind of like that actually. But we can edit this a bit. So what we'll do is we'll just set this back to 100. We'll go into edit and we'll add a new pose. And this is going to be the, so what we should do actually is undo that. And we can, let's see, if we can we duplicate this? No. If we select in place and add a pose. Oh yeah, so then that's going to give us a new pose, but it's going to use this. It's basically going to duplicate this pose and bring it down. So now we can call this one awake mouth. And we can edit this now. So if I just go into my loop selection, UL on your keyboard, make sure you're in polygon mode, select Mantato, and let's just kind of grab these loops. And I'm going to deselect the ones in the middle. I'm going to bring these up a bit. And I might even deselect these. Bring these up a little bit. And then I'm going to select these ones here. bring that up. No, undo that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit Control Z until I get back to these selections and maybe bring that back down a bit. And then I'm going to UL to go to my loop selection, grab this loop, and this loop. And I'm going to scale this down so it's more closed, but then I'm losing my kind of, I want his mouse to be like making a kind of an upside down smile shape. So I might, let's see, I think I'm just going back on what I've done here, but I'll just do it anyway. Bring this down, select these and bring it up a bit. No, deselect those, select these parts here, not inside the mouse, just the kind of lips area. Bring that up. Yeah, something like that. And then I might grab these ones, deselect these ones, and bring that up. Kind of like that. So that's going to be his he just woke up face. I'll see if I can bring these dimples down a bit. Something like, not sure if I like that. Go back to the way it was. Go into Pose Morph now. Now we can animate the awake mouth. So we have the mouth closed. We have the awake mouth. So that's going to be our two our two controls, and we can actually drag these into our user interface as well. So if we drag mouth closed in here and mouth awake in here, we can just animate those, and we'll always have those controllers on our user interface. We can do different combos of the two. We can also create keyframes as well. So that's pretty handy. Okay, so I'm going to leave him in his asleep position. And the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be texturing this guy up. So let's go ahead and do that now. I have a potato skin. Let's create a new material. I have a potato skin texture, which I'm going to put in the description below. That's going to be his skin. So let's load it into this material. Double click and open this material. We'll call this Mantato. Mantato skin. And we're going to load the potato skin here into the texture here. So load image, and I'm going to go into my desktop. I think I have it. And it's right there. Say no on that. Now we have our potato skin. Cool. So let's apply this onto Mantato. So what we can do now is very messy. We can right click. Let's grab our Mantato and right click. Actually, no, before we do that, we need to create a camera and make it active and go into the coordinates and zero everything out. And let's zoom out along the Z, bring the camera out along the Z and bring it up along the Y. So we are able to now right click on the Mantato geometry, go to material tags and say set UVW from projection. And now that's the result we're going to get. And this is going to work fine for us because remember from the video at the start, all we're going to be seeing is the front of Mantato. We're not going to be seeing the sides of him. And the reason I did it like this is because of that reason. We're not going to be seeing the sides of him. If we were going to be seeing the sides of him, we wouldn't be able to do it this way. We'd have to unwrap the UVs and all that, because this is what you're going to see if you go around to the side. But because we are only going to be seeing the front of Mantato, this is a nice and quick and easy way to fix the textures there. So just do that, right click and material tag, set UVW from projection. Cool. Okay, so now we can create some eyeballs for this guy, for this potato man. So let's create a sphere, and we can put this sphere into a symmetry object. Hold down Alt, and then hover over the symmetry object and release. It'll automatically add this selected object as a child of the symmetry object. If you didn't do it that way, make sure that the sphere is a child of the symmetry object. And this sphere, let's check how many segments we have. First of all, NB in your keyboard. So we're gonna need to increase the segments to something like, we'll go for 48 segments. And we can scale this down. And then we can make this editable. Otherwise, the symmetry object won't work. Oh, it will work. Okay. Excuse me. Lucky I didn't make it editable and actually tried that. So we have the sphere in the symmetry object. Let's position this now where it should be. I'm just going to deactivate my camera, and I might just delete that camera altogether. We don't need it anymore for the time being. And let's position these eyeballs. Might scale these up a bit. And I want my eyeballs around there. Something like that. Okay, so we can call these eyeballs. And I want to duplicate these eyeballs and make the duplicate a child of the eyeballs object. These are going to be the eyelids. So we can increase the radius of these, bring it from whatever it is, just kind of go +1 on that. And then we can apply our Mantato material to them. And now we have some eyeballs. NA to see what this is looking like without the lines on. And that's our Mantato. He's asleep. I want to grab the eyelids now, and I want to kind of cut out some polygons from them so that there's an opening. So I'm going to make this eyelids object editable by hitting C on my keyboard. And then I'm going to turn back on my lines, and I am going to solo these just so we can see what we're doing. So we're going to have to... So I'll show you what I want to do. I'm going to hit UL, go into polygon mode, and I'm going to select loops like this. I'm going to select this loop, 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 and this loop, and this loop. And I'm going to delete all of those. Now we have an opening. But the eyelids are they're in the wrong orientation, so we need to fix that. Select your eyelids, go to the rotate tool, make sure you have model mode selected, and let's just rotate these minus 90 degrees around like that. Might need to cut away a bit more of those. Let's turn off solo mode, so we can see what we're doing. So that's the eyelids closed. I think I might... No, I don't need to do anything, actually. That works out well. I just need to rotate them so they're not, like, giving us any gaps anywhere. And now we can open these like that. And also, I have the bottom eyelids that are going to come up and make him look even more menacing when he's awake. I'll just turn off my lines. So he's going to be asleep like this, and then he's going to go boom. I might even rotate these a little bit more like that. That's him going to be awake. He's going to look pretty menacing like that. Did I delete too many? I think I deleted too many polygons there. So I'm going to undo all of that and see if I can go right back to where I had these selected. So I want to delete kind of, I think, one less than I did. And I don't know how many I did, so I'm just going to have to guess again. Oh, right, okay, my selection came back when I went back into polygon mode. Okay, so I can just hold down control with UL for your loop selection, hold down control, and I'm going to delete one less. So I'm going to deselect one of those and delete those. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. We'll soon find out. Back and reorient everything that I just did, re-rotate everything the way I had it 2 seconds ago. So rotate this along the Z axis to minus 90 degrees, and then kind of like that. Still not looking right. You know what? It actually is looking... No, I think I like it like that. So he's going to be asleep, and then he's going to go vroom. Yeah, I think I like his big lower eyelids kind of like that. It's kind of cool. Okay, so that's the eyelids done. NA to turn off my lines. Let's give the inside of his mouth a different color, because right now the inside of his mouth is all stretched and weird looking. And we want the inside of his mouth to look like the inside of a potato, possibly. So we can select the Mantato geometry, go into polygon mode, hit UL to go to loop selection, and we're going to select this loop. Are we going to select this loop? Hang on, let's deselect everything. We're going to get this loop, this loop, this loop, this loop, and we're going to go inside of his mouth, and we're going to grab our live selection and just hold down shift to grab that little, those last few polygons in there, that last polygon. And this is going to be the inside of his mouth. So I'm going to create a new material, call it mouth inside. And you could have this pink, or possibly the color of the inside of a potato, kind of like dark yellow or bright yellow or something like that. Maybe just yellow. Or pink. We could go pink. I'm going to try kind of a yellowish color. And just click and drag, and that will automatically add that to our selection, and only our selection. So now he kind of has the inside of his mouth going, and it's different from the rest of his body. And okay, so we have the eyelids. We can animate those. He's asleep, he's awake. We need eye pupils. We need pupils. So let's create a new material. Call this eye. Let's apply that to our eyeballs, I should say. And we'll open that up, and we can go into color, and let's grab a gradient, and let's open that up. Set this type to circular, and we're going to drag this knot and this knot into the middle. I'm going to set these, select both of them by holding down shift and just clicking on them, and then we'll unwrap this, unwrap, and set the interpolation to linear. Okay. Also, we're going to make this a bit smaller. So we're going to bring the white closer to the black knot. Oh, I have another knot in there. It's kind of difficult to see the black one. And we'll click to create another one, double click on it, and we can give him a kind of a blue, kind of a blue, let's see, where does this blue go? So we need to grab these two, grab all of these and set this all to be linear. I just feel like it was already done. Why is that not linear? I'm just going to undo all that because I think I've messed something up along the way. So grab this one and grab this one, set it to linear. It is set to linear, so why is it not linear? Okay, I'm just going to start that again. Clear that. Grab a gradient. Grab this and this. By holding down Shift, set the interpolation to linear. Aha! The interpolation needs to be set to step, not linear. And then we can bring this in. Also, the type needs to be set to circular. Okay, so now we have some linear. The interpolation, I was setting it to linear by mistake. It should be set to step. Now let's create another one, another knot, and make it blue. And then we get some kind of outer blue area to his eye. Or maybe you want it to be brown or whatever. Don't know. And let's just move all of these in so it's nice and small. I'm going to make my eye color brown actually because he is a potato, so I'd imagine he'd have brown eyes. And I'm going to see what's going on over here because he's looking really he looks like he was dropped at birth or whatever it is, the potatoes, whatever the potato version of being born is, at germination possibly. So select the eyeball material tag and let's just start playing with these parameters here to kind of center the eyeballs up first of all, and also make them more circular. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here, because it's I'm just messing with the offset, which changes the position of these of this texture on the sphere, and the length, which changes the length obviously along the U and along the V. So U would be kind of horizontally and V would be vertically. And it's just a matter of playing around with these until they look like you want them to look and they're in the right position. Yeah, so I'm going to go like that. He doesn't look menacing there now at all. He just looks worried. He looks really worried. He looks like he's going to be eaten or something. He looks like a potato out of that film Sausage Party right now. So I don't know why that is. I mean, it could be his mouth. Maybe when his mouth is like set up for when he wakes up. Kind of looks like a bit better. We might have to delete another. I think I'm going to do that now. I'm going to grab my eyelids object, go into the polygon mode, hit UL on my keyboard, and I'm going to delete another one of these so that he looks, I don't know, less worried and more menacing. I'm going for menacing here. I think it'll help when he has when his eyebrows are in there as well. So we might try and get his eyeballs going now, or his eyebrows. I mean, so we'll do that now. Let's do a Control S on this. It's not working for me. File, save project. Okay, it did work. I was just making changes. And let's now create his eyebrows. So I'm going to grab my pen tool, spline pen tool. I'm going to go into my front view here, and I'm going to create an eyebrow using a spline. So I'm going to click to add an anchor point there, click in the center to add another one, and I'm just going to click another one here. It doesn't have to be in line or anything with this one. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the center or anything like that. And now we have a spline that we're going to use to create some geometry for our eyebrow. So I'm going to select the spline object, hold down Alt, and I'm going to grab a sweep, and that's automatically going to be added. The spline's automatically going to be added as a child to it. And then I'm going to grab a circle spline, hold down Shift this time with your spline or with your sweep selected. That'll automatically add the circle spline as a child of the sweep. Let's bring down the radius of this. And now we have a kind of an eyebrow going. We can fix this messiness here by making this spline editable. Hit C on your keyboard to do so. Then we can go into point mode. We can grab our rectangle selection, select that point, which is there. You just can't see it. It's here. And then we're going to hit Shift C and look for chamfer. I have it typed in already from before. Chamfer. And then we can just click and drag on that point to, we can even increase the radius to smoothen that out a bit. Okay, so this is an eyebrow. And we can go into the sweep object, go to the object tab, unravel the details here, and just click in the center, control click to make a new point there. Then we can scale down the end points of this sweep so that it looks more eyebrowish. I want to scale the whole thing up as well to make it just bigger. I want to, before I scale that up, I want to go into, turn on enable axis so that I'll be able to bring this axis handle here up to the center of the eyebrow, just so it's easier for me to move it around. Make sure to disable the axis mode there then. Now we can scale this up and we can see what we're doing. And we need to make this kind of fuzzy looking as it is an eyebrow. And we need to make it brown. I'm going to go brown anyway. I'm going to go eyebrow. And I'm going to apply that to the eyebrow sweep. And I'm going to make it brown. Kind of like something like that. And I'm going to then, let's see, I'm going to hit C to make this all one piece of geometry. Well, it's not yet. You can middle mouse click to select the null and all of its children. Right click, go to connect objects and delete. Just make sure model mode selected and select the eyebrow. Hold down Shift because we're going to be adding a displacer deformer as a child of the eyebrow. And then we're going to go into the displacer, go into the shading tab. We're going to grab a noise, and that's going to give us some kind of fuzziness on our eyebrow. Okay, cool. So his eyebrow's there. We could kind of scale it down a bit. Kind of like that. So he's got a bit of displacement now going along his eyebrow. And let's see if we just increase the height of that a little bit more. And increase the strength. Something like that is fine. And now we have an eyebrow. We need to pop this guy into our make it a child of the eyeballs object, so that we will get, no, actually we won't do it that way. We'll give it its own separate symmetry object. What did I just do there? Where are you? Holding down Alt with the eyebrow object selected automatically makes it a child of the symmetry object. Then we can just kind of push this out and we can pull these back. Okay, so now we have eyebrows in there, so we can make him angrier, I hope. Ah yeah, that definitely makes him look angrier. The difference that eyebrows make. If we all had no eyebrows, we'd never look angry. Or we'd really lack emotion, I think, without eyebrows. Eyebrows seem to make a huge difference. I'm just rotating these to kind of push these up against the face, but I don't want to have any intersections, so I'm just kind of, they don't have to be right up perfectly flat against it. Something like that, so that when we rotate this, you know, it's not gonna, we're not gonna lose anything. So he's worried, he's angry. He is worried. Oh, sugar. Damn it. I just undid everything I did and it won't let me redo it. So I'm going to have to redo it manually. And okay. So now we have our eyebrows in there. No, we don't, not yet. Still getting some intersections. Still. Oh man, I had this done perfectly and then I just messed it up. Gonna pull these out a little bit. Okay, so I've really messed this up now, so I'm going to have to undo a lot because I was messing. So let's try this again. Push this back. I hit W on my keyboard so I could switch to, what is it called? So I could switch to coordinate system, switch the coordinate system to world. So, because I think when I was pushing it back, see, I was pushing it back this way, whereas I want to be pushing both of them back this way, if that makes any sense. And I doubt it does. So W, or you can just click on this to change from world or object coordinate system. So let's see now if we rotate this. I think that's better. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I just spent like a half an hour on the eyebrows and messing around with them there because I was messing that time. But anyway, that's fine. Do we like the mouse being yellow? Would it be better pink? Let's do a save as, Control S. Ooh, that's too pink. Maybe red could be cool, actually, you know. Red might be nicer. I'll leave it at red for now. We can always change it back then. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty menacing. When he's going to be asleep, he's going to be, his eyelids are going to be closed. So he looks like droopy. And his eyebrows are going to be like that. So he looks very peaceful, very innocent. His mouth's going to be open. Like this. So his mouth's going to be kind of like this. How did we have it the last time? Can't really, yeah, something like that. So that's his initial pose. So what we can do now is we can I suppose the next thing will be creating the capsule, the thing that he's going to be in. So I suppose we can jump into that now. So I'm going to create a new file for this, a new project, and I'm going to create my capsule in here. I'm going to grab a capsule, obviously, and I actually want to just check the size of this. I'm going to Control C this, hit V on your keyboard. It brings up this handy little user interface kind of tool. Then we can go down to the project that we're in, the Mantato project, and just Control V that in so I can scale this up now. And I'll know how big this needs to be. Something like that, so Mantato can fit into it, kind of like so. I'm going to increase the height of this as well. You know, Mantato is going to be like in there, kind of like that. So this is the height. I'm gone for something like this value. And yeah, I think I'm happy enough with that. I might go a little bit bigger on the radius. Something like this. And now I can just Control X that out, hit V on my keyboard so I can go down to the project that we're in, get rid of that, and pop that in. Let's turn off the work plane again. And we are going to be using the volume builder for this. Volume builder, volume mesher. So let's grab a volume builder. And we grab a volume mesher. And we put the volume mesher as a child of the volume... No, we put the volume mesher as a child of the volume builder. And then we place the capsule as a child of the volume builder. And now what we can do is we can start cutting stuff out of this. So if I grab a cube, if I just kind of say I want to cut out the window of our capsule, so I'm going to make this big enough so that it could be a window. And I'll make this cube a child of the volume builder, and I'll tell the volume builder, click on the volume builder and tell it to subtract the cube. Now we can just increase the size of that cube so that we get a little window. And I want to make the whole capsule hollow, so I can just duplicate this capsule and go back into my volume builder and tell this capsule, don't worry about the order, I don't think it matters, let me just check. Oh yeah, it does. So bring the capsule down to just below the cube, set it to subtract. Maybe it doesn't actually. All I'm forgetting to do is just scale down this capsule. So see what I'm doing there? I'm just scaling down this capsule which is being subtracted from this one. Let's fix this window. So we have it nice and big and nice and tall as well. Let's bring it down along the Y a bit. And then what we can do is we can actually grab another cube. I might actually make this... No, what I'll do is I'll grab another cube. So I can just duplicate this one. And tell this to also subtract, or this one, cube 1 to subtract. And we can just bring that new cube down here. Let's scale it down. And let's also do something like this. So that we have a little side window at the base. And we can make it a little bit cooler by clicking on it, making it editable. Going to our rectangle selection and point mode, and then selecting those 2 points, bringing those up along the Y. Maybe even down. Yeah, down kind of looks a bit cooler, to be fair. Something like that. It's a bit messy though, whatever's going on. See if we can fix it. Yeah, we just need to drag it out a bit like that. And maybe scale the whole thing down. So that looks kind of interesting. And let's duplicate this cube again and bring it over here. Go into our volume builder and tell cube 2 to subtract as well. We need to rotate cube 2 180 degrees. Hit R on your keyboard and just hold down shift as you're rotating. It'll rotate in increments of 5 degrees. I'm going to grab both of those cubes and bring them forward a bit. Something like that. Kind of interesting. I might increase the radius or the whole size of capsule 1. So capsule 1 is what's given us, if I turn that off, it's what's given us the hollow, it's what's cutting out a hollow in the main capsule. So capsule 1, I'm going to increase the scale of that. So we get something like this. And I might bring it down a little bit along the Y, just to kind of make this a bit more even, this kind of flat surface here. Okay, cool. So what we can do now is, well actually I might just grab these 2 cubes and just scale these down along the Y and push those up. So we have something like that. And we need to now, suppose we can save this, do a Control-Shift-S, and we can save this as a capsule. And now we need to smoothen this out because it looks really, you know, not smooth, I suppose you'd say. So the first step in smoothing everything out would be to go into the capsule, the main capsule, which is the one on the outside, and increase the rotation segments up to like 80. That smoothens that out nicely. Increase the cap segments up to like 40. Nice and smooth. We don't need to worry about the inside because we're not going to see it. Like, we don't need to smoothen out the inside capsule. I mean, you can if you want, but we're not going to see it once we put in a little kind of a floor for Mantato to lay on. So we don't need to do that. Another thing we can do to smoothen out everything is to go into our volume builder and add an SDF smooth to the very top of our list there, and that's going to smoothen out everything even further. Let's reduce the voxel size down to like maybe 3. That's just loading there, you can see it. So that everything kind of gets back that kind of harder edge. When that was at 10, you could see it looked kind of blobby. So we reduced the voxel size down to 3 centimeters, and it kind of gives everything a bit of a sharper edge. And what else can we do? We can still see, like, it's not exactly perfect. I don't think we're going to get it perfect. That's a bit... Do you know what? I actually like that. Even though it's a mistake, I didn't intend for this little part that juts out, but that's kind of cool. That'll look nice. This little part I'm talking about here. Checking I'm recording, as usual. Always worried I'm not recording. It's not on this side, though. So we need to make it on that side as well, so it's nice and symmetrical. So we need to grab this cube and push it in a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Yeah, something like that. It's not exactly perfectly symmetrical, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. Well, actually I am. I want to increase my voxel size back up to 10. so that I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing then. I'll go to 4. And then I'll be able to push this cube over a bit without slowing down everything too much. Okay, I think that's better. Put this back down to 3 centimeters. And another step we can take to smoothen this out even more is we can increase the iterations down here for the SDF smooth. Set that to 4. That's gonna do its thing down here. You can see it's loading. And that's kind of smoother again. And we could, I don't think we need to do much else with this, but we could use a smoother, what's it called? Smoothing deformer. So if I grab that, we need to put this into this volume measure into a null. So select it, hit Alt G, and then we can drag this smoothing deformer down to be a child of the null. And that actually did make a difference. You can see what that's done. If I turn it off, turn it on, you probably can't see it on the video, but you'll be able to see it on your own machines. It's definitely made a difference. And that is our capsule. We need to put in a little kind of a table on the inside of this for Mantato to just rest upon. So we can do that with a plane. Grab a plane. I'm going to do a Control S to save. Put this on along the plus Z axis. And we can just scale this up. Let's bring it into the yoke first. And we can scale it out along the X. A bit more. And we can scale it up along the Y. And we can make it editable, but let's reduce the width and height segments because we don't need any. It was just the one each way. And let's hit C to make that editable, and then we can grab a rectangle selection, go into point mode, and just grab both of those points and just scale those in. Oh, that's not going to work actually. Undo that. Undo until it's no longer editable. Let's increase let's turn on our lines and increase the width and height segments a little bit. So 3 and 5, 3 and 6 should be fine. Well, it will be fine. Now we can make it editable. Hit C on your keyboard and grab your points here and here. Scale those in along the X axis and do the same here. I should have just grabbed them all at the same time, but it's all good in the hood. Bring those in. NA to, oh, that's not yet all the way in. Let's make sure those ones are all the way in at the top. They're not. See those crafty devils, look. And scale those in. Okay, so now we have a little table in there for Mantato to rest his weary head. And let's see, do we actually need to... You know what, we do need to smoothen out the inside capsule as well. This one here, right? I was trying to make this invisible, but it's taken a long time to load, so I'm not going to do that. I think I might have crashed something. Oh no, it's okay. We're good to go. Oh no, it's doing something crazy now. Fingers crossed I haven't broken it. Yeah, I think it's okay. So we do need to smooth out the inside capsule here. The thing that's cutting out the big hollow in the main capsule, so because it's looking kind of rough on the inside. So I'm going to bring the rotation segments on this up to 70. Let's see how long that takes to load, to calculate. And the cap segments go up to 30 on those. To smoothen those out as well. Okay. So now everything is nice and smooth and looking pretty nice. It's all looking pretty good. We need to add some glass into this as well. So we can do that now. We need a capsule again, I guess. I think that'd be the best way to go about it. So we grab a capsule. Probably best to just copy one of these ones. This one probably. Hold down Control, click and drag this all the way up to the very top. We can scale this down and to about here. We can create a glass material. So double click, let's call this glass. And let's open this up. And we're going to... We don't even need to create a glass material actually. We can just grab one from the content browser. Where are you, content browser? Where is the... See, I don't know where anything is in... Oh, here it is. Is that it? In this new layout, I mean, yeah, I think the icons look nice, but at the same time, you have to just relearn everything and relearn where everything is again. So we're going to search for glass. And I like that loading thing. Go to materials, and we're just going to get glass simple. Looks like glass simple, doesn't it? Glass simp. Any simps out there? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Any 9gag fans out there at all? So let's add this to the capsule, and now we have our glass. So if I render this out, it doesn't look like much yet without any lighting. And we also would need to like crank up the, turn on anti-aliasing so we don't get any nasty jagged edges. But so far, so good. That's looking pretty cool. Okay guys, so we're going to bring the capsule in now to the Mantato scene. So let's just grab everything and hit Alt G to put it all into a null and rename it. Now let's do Control C and hold down V. We can pop into the Mantato project, and let's just Control V that in. That's going to calculate, and it will pop in now in a second. Any second now. Am I recording? I am. Okay. So, here we have it. Let's position it. So we want Mantato to be resting nicely on the little floor that we created. And we want him kind of tucked in behind this little bit of a ridge. Or not, it's up to you. I mean, you could have him here if you want. But I'm going to have, I just Control Z'd and I shouldn't have. It's going to take a while now for this volume builder to calculate. There we go, okay. So I'm going to do a Control Shift save and go Mantato C. You guys can just do a Control S on that. Okay, so we can start creating some materials for this capsule. I'm going to grab all these Mantato materials. Just right click and say add to new layer. This is an unnecessary step, but I'm just doing it to keep everything organized. So now we have Mantato materials layer, and we have a no layer with the glass in it. So I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to call it capsule. This is going to be our main capsule material, and I'm going to make it kind of a grayish color. And I'm going to go into reflectance. I'm going to decrease the width of the specular and bring up the specular strength. Decrease the fall off a little bit and have it something like this. So let's apply that to our to our volume measure. That's gonna be applied, and that's looking pretty good. Okay, so we can now start setting up some lights. Do a Control S. Let's grab an area light, and we want to right click on this, go to animation tags, grab a target tag. We're going to make the capsule null the target object, and now we can drag this area light out and bring it over to the left and scale it up as well. Let's go into it, go into the shadow tab, turn on area shadows, and oh, we need to apply our capsule material to our floor that we set up as well. So let's do a render to picture viewer and see what that looks like. Right, okay, so Mantato's head is massive. We don't want it to be distorted like that. That's happening because we're using this glass material that we found in the asset browser. So what we'll do is we'll create a new material, and we're going to create our own glass material, which isn't going to be as refractive as this one. Turn off color, turn on transparency, and we're going to bring down the refraction down to something like that. Now let's apply this new glass material to our glass, and if we render the picture viewer on that, now we're losing the refraction. Cool. I want to reduce also the width of the specular on this and bring up the specular strength. Let's render the picture viewer on that, see what it looks like. Cool. Okay. Let's see. What else are we doing? So let's grab another light. Well, we grab this light, go into the Move tool, hop into our top view. I'm going to move this over a bit, and I'm going to hold down Control to duplicate. For this new light, I'm going to go into the General tab, bring down the intensity. Let's hop in here. I'm going to bring down the intensity to something like this. Percentage shadows, I'm going to turn them off. And let's see what that looks like now. Cool. I want to further reduce the width of this specular highlight on our glass. So I'm going to do that over here. So that's looking a bit better. I might even bring down the refraction even more in our transparency channel. Render the picture viewer on that and see what that looks like. Okay, so I think that's looking a bit better. Control S to save that. Now, focusing on this material, the capsule material, let's see what it's looking like. So it's looking cool enough. I want to reduce the width of the specular on this as well. Make it a bit sharper. Something like this. And I want to put some imperfections on this as well. So you can see that it's like looking really smooth. So I want to like add some noise into the layer color area here. So if we just go to this texture, grab a noise, and if we just set this noise to something like maybe Hammer or Naki. We'll try Naki. So now you can see we're getting some kind of imperfections on the reflections of this capsule. We can bring up the scale a bit And that is looking kind of nice, I think. Maybe if we bring it down. Well, I say it's looking nice and then I change it. But trial and error. I think I like that a little bit more. Let's see. We'll try hammer. Where's hammer? Let's try hammer and see what that looks like. I don't know if I like this. It's okay. It's okay. Turbulence? Maybe turbulence might be nice. Yeah, I think I like turbulence more. Let's bring up the brightness a little bit and see what that looks like. Okay. We have some imperfections in the reflection of our capsule. We have our glass looking pretty good. And we now would like to, what would we like to do? Okay, so Mantato, right? He is looking too ordinary. We need to add a bit of, we need to give him a bit of specular as well. So let's turn on the reflectance channel. And let's bring down the width of this, bring up the strength. And if we render the picture here on that, we're going to get a lot of specular highlights here. But we don't want any specular where it's dark. So what we can do to achieve that is we can load in our potato image, or our texture. Say no on that. And now we're not going to get any specular where it's kind of these spotty areas. So it's looking a bit better. We can bring up the specular strength as well. And that's looking, I don't like that. I don't want to go back to the way it was. So I'm liking that. Okay, cool. Okay, so we need a floor. We don't have a floor. Now we have a floor for our capsule. We don't have an actual floor for the background. So we're going to create a plane, put it on the plus Z axis, and we're going to scale this bad boy right up. Bring it back along the Z. So it's like pretty much touching the capsule. And let's hit MB, see our lines. We're going to increase the amount of segments on this because we're going to use a display. We're going to be using the displacement channel on this, so we need a good bit of segments. And we're going to go into this no layer, which we could call, I know, we'll leave it. We'll duplicate this material, call it floor. And we're going to put a displacement, we're going to create some displacement on this floor. So let's just first apply it to the floor, right? So this is what we got. Looks cool enough, but we're going to be using this application, which is completely free to download. It's called JS Placement. You guys can Google it and download it. It's free. What it does is it gives you basically a generator which generates these kind of height maps, which look really good for sci-fi stuff. You can put them on anything, literally anything. I want to reduce the scale on this. Or no, I want to increase the scale actually. Maybe even more. So we're going to get something like this. Okay, we'll save the height, and we're going to save this to our Mantato folder. Where are you, Mantato folder? Oh yeah, 27 I think it was. That's the one. Save that, and we are gonna go into our floor material, go and turn on displacement, and let's load that image in. Say no on that. Turn on sub polygon displacement. Let's bring up the height. And let's make sure that this is editable, because if we render that without it being, oh, it does, see, I'm learning as I go, I'm learning as I go. So that's kind of cool, I guess. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Let's see that again. Yeah, I think that's kind of cool looking. I mean, we could say bring the scale up this even more. Yeah, I think I want to bring it up even more. Let's see what it gives us. Working. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, so we'll try this one. Let's save the height on this, and we'll go and save this new one. And let's see, I won't even know which one that is now. Let's try and reload this in. Must be that one. And let's see what that looks like. Yeah, okay, so I'm liking that much better. It seems the scale is bigger, so it looks more nice, for lack of a better word. I also want to create some kind of an extra bit of detail on this. I'm going to go into reflectance. I'm going to go to the layer. Where am I going to go? Yeah, I'm going to go here. I'm going to change this to something like, I don't know, Luca, maybe? See what that looks like. Yeah, I think I like Luca. I like that kind of extra detail that it's given us. And okay, so that's looking pretty good. So next we are going to, now remember we haven't turned on anti-aliasing. To be honest, our lighting isn't great either. I mean, our lighting could be better. Like if we say this is going to be our camera angle, you know, we could do something about this lighting. Let's see. Let's bring this over here a bit and bring this one a little bit over here. Let's scale this one up. Let's see if that makes any much of a difference. Yeah, I think I like that a lot more. I like those softer shadows. Just increasing the scale of that light just gave us those softer shadows. I might reduce the intensity of this light as well, ever so slightly. Yeah, I think I like that as well. Now remember, we haven't actually turned on, if we go into our render settings, we need to turn on anti-aliasing. That's going to reduce any rubbish looking jagged edges that we have. Let's turn on ambient occlusion. That's going to give us some nice contact shadows. So it's going to increase render time, but everything's going to look a lot nicer. A lot nicer. Cool. And we can actually add some reflectance to this floor as well. So if we add a Beckman onto this, change the attenuation to additive, bring down the strength and bring it down actually, and increase the roughness. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I don't like that anymore. I actually liked it the way it was, so I'm going to undo all of that. Undo, undo, undo. Back to where it was. And I think I like that a lot more, to be honest. It looks way better. Sometimes reflections work, sometimes they don't, and that was one of the cases where they don't. Will we keep it gray, or will we change it to something else, like white? White would be mad, wouldn't it? That wouldn't work, would it? Let's see. You know what? It doesn't look too bad, but I still don't like it. I'm going back to grey. Or as Amy Winehouse put it, I'm going back to black. But not quite black. Yeah, that's a bit better. Like a kind of a lighter grey than the capsule, so there's a bit of contrast. I still prefer it the way it was, to be honest. Let me see. Maybe like a very, very, very dark red. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, I'm sticking with that for now. Okay, so next is the wires. We're going to add some wires. Control S. We're going to add some wires because remember in the intro video with the camera, it's coming doodle 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 doodle, and we have some wires that are coming out of the bottom of this. So let's create those now. We'll go into the front view. Going to grab my Polygon Pen Tool, and I'm going to start drawing me some splines. There's one. There's two. So we have two splines. Where are they? That's one. Where's the other one? Oh, it's counted them all as one. Let's see if we put this into a sweep, what happens with a circle spline attached to it as a child of the sweep. Okay, so it gave me one spline that are not connected, which works. I don't think that happens in Cinema 4D or 24. Maybe it's a new feature, or maybe I'm just incorrectly remembering how this stuff works as I go. Let's reduce the radius on this. And let's bring down the angle here to 0 degrees so we get some nice smooth curves on this wire. Bring this over. And we also can do something like we can create a, let's see, create a tube. And we can, let's have a look at this. We can go into, where is it? Go to Object, turn on Fillet. Set the radius to something like that. And the segments to something like that. Increase the rotation segments. And we're going to clone these bad boys. We're going to clone these along an object, and the object we're going to clone them along is this spline. So now we have these fellas going all along. So we obviously have to rotate these guys. "90 degrees. So they look kind of more sci-fi-ish, I guess. Let's move this sweep as well. Control S to save, guys. We're going to add this this capsule texture to the sweep. We're going to create a new material for the rings. They can be any color. I'm just going to go for yellow or something. Kind of a yellowish orangey color. Apply that to those. Cool. Let's see what this is looking like now. Render the picture viewer on that. Not liking the red anymore. I'm going to switch this back to grey. Cool. I think I'm liking that a little bit more. I'm going to bring this sweep up a bit. We might put a bit of reflection on these guys. Just a little bit. Add a Beckman and bring down the reflection strength all the way. Set the attenuation to additive. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, so I think we're almost there, guys. I think we're almost there. We need to put on some little circular lights on this yoke as well. So let's create a cylinder and let's rotate it, or let's set the orientation to +C and bring it out towards here. Just make it really skinny. Height segments, or not height segments, but height, we can set it to 1. And let's just slap it on there to the base of this capsule. And just line it up. We'll increase the rotation segments of this as well. And we're going to create a new material, call it LED. And this is going to be, we're only going to be using the luminance channel for this. It's going to be red. I'm going to duplicate this, maybe scale it up a bit. We're going to duplicate this, bring it over, make sure that it is lined up. We're going to scale it down first of all. Rotate it. Bring it back. I'm sure there's an easier way of doing this, but I don't know what it is. This one's going to be green. We're going to call this lead green. And we're going to apply that to that. Get rid of that one. And we will duplicate that again. Probably should have put that into a symmetry object. I wonder will that work now that I've already kind of put it into its position. No, I'm just going to duplicate it. And I'm going to rotate it. Let's see. So this one has a rotation of -4 something. So we'll put this +4. And we'll move that back. Okay, so they're not perfectly up against the surface, but we're going to get away with it, I'd imagine. Let's see. Yeah, looks pretty good. So that is our lighting. That's our texturing all taken care of. Now we're going to move on to getting some animation. I do want to reduce the radius. These wires look a bit thick for me now. And this as well. And yeah, okay, that's looking pretty good. So we're going to move on to the next part now, which is going to be basically animating this, I suppose. Let's do one more render to picture viewer and see what it looks like. It's looking pretty good. So we're going to get this animated right now. First of all, I just want to push these wires closer to the floor. Like right up against the floor. Push those up. Like so. It's going to look better when they're right beside the floor. They're going to give us some nice shadows casted along the floor there. Okay, so let's create a... okay, we'll create a camera. We'll make it active. We'll zero it out. We'll zoom out along the Z and up along the Y a little bit. That's going to be the finishing shot. We need to bring our sound so we can match this up to something. Do a Control-Shift-S, and we're going to save this as D. Or just Control-S, save it as. Now, we're going to create a null. This is what we're going to load our sound into. Shift F3 to bring up your dope sheet, okay? So the way we load in sound is by creating a null and then adding a keyframe on any one of these properties. So I'm just going to add one there. Then we can go here to the null, create special tracks, sound. We're going to be able to load in the sound. This is going to be available for you guys for the to download from the description below. And now we have our sound. We're going to need about 500 frames for this to play in full. That's the point where we want him to wake up. So let's get that done. Camera-wise, we're starting... well, we're ending here. This is where the camera's going to end. So let's add a keyframe on the Y, and then we're going to go back to frame 0, bring this all the way down to about here. Add another keyframe, and let's hit play. So see the way that's easing in. We don't want that to ease in. Shift F3. Let's bring this up. Select our camera, zoom out. Hit Tab on your keyboard. We're going to grab this handle, hold down, hold down Shift. So we don't want any easing in, but we do want easing out. So it's going to zoom in and slowly ease out. So this is what we're going to get now. Let's activate the camera and see what that looks like. Too slow at the start. We need that to really be a lot faster. So we're going to bring the camera down further along the Y so that we're going to get a lot faster of an intro. Let's bring up the Shift F3 to bring up the dope sheet again. Grab the camera, hit Tab. Let's get rid of that easing in. Let's see what that looks like. It's still too slow. We need it to be at Mantato when it comes to about 317. So we're going to grab this last keyframe, bring it all the way here. See that now. That's the point in which we want him to wake up, right here. Right there. So we're going to add a keyframe. We're going to go down to the Pose Morph. Well, let's do the eyelids first, right? So we're going to go to the eyelids. Where are they? And we're going to add... that's where his eyelids need to be fully awake. So let's grab the eyelids, grab the rotate tool, and just have those open. He's looking in the wrong direction as well, so we'll have to fix that. Let's add a keyframe on the eyelids. We'll just grab all of those. Undo that, because we didn't actually set an initial keyframe. right there, right here is where his eyelids are just about to open. I'm undoing the change that I made to his eyelids. So around here is when we want his eyelids to open. Let's add a keyframe to all the rotation properties of his eyelids. That's where his eyelids are going to slap open. Click and drag to add a bunch of keyframes. Okay, that didn't work. Wait a second. So we're only going to be animating this property here. So let's add a keyframe there. And then pause it. And then open his eyelids. We're adding a keyframe right there. And we don't want any easing in and easing out. Shift F3, grab the eyelids. Hit L on that to make it linear. And we need to speed that up as well. And we also want to Shift F3, grab the eyelids, hit Tab, and we're going to slow this down a bit as well. So just clicking on that little ease out button as well, just to slow it down. Speed it up a bit. The eyebrows as well are going to go down. So right here, we're going to be animating them here. So add a keyframe right there, go forward a bit. And we're going to point these down and add another keyframe. And the mouth finally. So that's looking pretty good. It's a bit slow. Shift F3. We can grab all of this and just kind of speed it up a bit by shrinking it. The eyebrows need to speed up a bit. Perfect. And then the mouth at the end. Let's animate that in now. So the mouth is going to start right about here. Add some keyframes. And then it's going to change to something like this. Keyframes there. I'm going to Shift F3 on that. Go to the Pose Morph, hit Tab. Get rid of the ease at the start. And maybe some at the beginning. And then let's have a look at that. We're going to grab the last frame of that and push it forward or push it back so that it doesn't take as long. Cool. Okay. Nice. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of pre-animation at this point. We're going to have his eyes open as well, ever so slightly at the very beginning. So his eyes are going to be like this much open. So we're going to add a keyframe at the very beginning. Let's have a look at this. We're going to set his eyes to be this much open. Let's copy that, Control C, back to frame 0, paste that in and set a keyframe. So his eyes are going to be that much open to the start. And we also have to make sure that they're that much open at the frame which is next. So Control G to go to the next frame, paste that in again and add a keyframe. Okay, so what I wanted to happen actually didn't happen, but it actually looks cool, to be fair. His eyes are slightly opening. You can see it's changing here. If we want his eyes to be open, we can just grab this keyframe, hold our control, and just drag this right up to the end. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, so we're going to have his eyeballs, his eyelids open a little bit. We're going to add a keyframe. His eyeballs are going to try and close, but we want them to be open. Grab this one, hold down control, and copy it. So he's going to do a little blink. It's going to go up. He's going to do a little blink. And then he's going to shoot open his eyes, which actually looks kind of cool. I like that. And we're going to do something with the mouth as well. Right about here, we're going to have the mouth do kind of a slow opening. So we're going to add a keyframe here and here. And right before the mouth kind of jolts open, we're just going to have this slightly we're going to have it slightly open a little bit more, like that. We need that mouth close to happen a bit faster. Let's Shift F3 that, go to Pose Morph, just grab this frame and pull it closer to the one where it just jolts open. Cool. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, I think we're done, guys. It's a bit rough, to be fair. I mean, like, that could be a lot cleaner. We need to Shift F3 and we need to bring this closer to the other keyframe to get a snappier. There we go. We can do something with the eyelids as well. They're a bit slow. Shift F3, let's go to the eyelids and let's bring this closer as well to the other frame. There we go. That's way better. And the eyebrows, we need to speed those up as well. So let's grab the eyebrows and let's just Bring that snappier as well. Too fast, I think, for the eyebrows. Let's make it a little bit faster. So the eyebrows are happening a bit too slow. The eyebrows need to happen at the same time that the eyes happen. So we need to drag that over. There we go. I think we got it, guys. I think we got it. We also need to, well, let's watch it first of all. So we need to kind of, the eyes aren't really looking at the camera, so let's fix that now. Grab the eyeball texture and let's change that. That's a bit better. Let's do a render to picture view on that. Cool. Okay. Cool. Okay, guys, I think this is ready to render. If we do a render to picture viewer, yeah, I think this is looking good. I might change the color of the eyebrows, possibly. I would make them darker. And I might get rid of this specular highlight as well. So I'll just open that up, turn off reflectance, and just have them kind of matte dark. Looks a bit better. Cool. Okay, so we're going to set this up for render. So we only need to render this as far as there, really. Shift F3, right as far as this frame, 352. I think that's the last frame. Yeah. So we need to render this as far as 352. So we'll set that up now. And once that's rendered out, we're going to be able to set it up in After Effects without having to worry about the rest of the frames. We can just use the single frame and just play it on. We might go one extra frame just to be safe. We don't need to. 352. Just to be safe. Let's do a file save as, and we'll go for E on that. Let's go to render settings. I'm going to output this as a, we go 1920 by 1080. Going to render out all frames. Save this as a PNG sequence, and we're going to save it out to a place called Mantato. We don't need alpha. We're going to set the options reflection to turn that down to 2. And what else? I think that's it, guys. Cool. Okay, that's it. Do a file save, render, and we're gonna render queue this, delete that, render and add to render queue. And that's it. Okay, cool. So that's gonna render away, and then we're gonna put this into After Effects, and this is, and then we're gonna put in the music in the background as well. And then we're gonna be finished. And we're almost there. Longest tutorial in the world, guys, definitely. But we'll see you in, I don't know how long this is going to take. It's going to take a couple of hours to render out. So we'll see you guys at the end of this, and we'll get this done. Okay, guys, so that's finished rendering. It took 2 hours, yeah. So on the button with that. So let's jump now into After Effects, and we can bring in the sequence. Turn on PNG sequence so it comes in as a sequence, and let's bring that in. Just drag this down to our composition icon. That'll create a new composition for us. And there is our scene. Let's bring in the music. You guys are going to be able to download this audio from the description below. And let's have a look at this. Just giving it a chance to load into RAM. Okay, cool. So we're going to have to import in the very last frame. So we're going to be able to extend this. So just double click into this panel here, go back into your sequences folder, and then go and grab the very last frame of this. Turn off PNG sequence. This time it's just coming in as a single frame. Now let's drag this down. Hit Control K on your keyboard to bring up your composition settings, and let's just extend this to like 40 seconds or something like that. And now we can bring this, hold down Shift, and it will snap to the end of this sequence here. Or no, not that one, this one here. This is our sequence, so now it will continue on. And just where we hear that kind of that part there, we're going to bring in this image, which is also available for you guys to download from the description below. It's just something that I created in Photoshop easily enough, so you guys can download that as well. And we're going to bring that into our composition, and we're going to just line this up with our timeline indicator. So we want that to kick in right there. So I'm going to hit the left square bracket to snap the selected layer to the timeline indicator there. And that is what we want. Cool, so let's have a look at that. Okay, guys. Okay, so we can do a bit of kind of color correction or color grading here, just to kind of, it's a bit flat, so we can improve that a bit. If you just go to Effects and Presets, if you can't see that, you'll be able to find it here. Just make sure that that's ticked, and then we're going to grab a Lumetri color and make sure that the sequence is selected and double click. Now we can open up basic correction, and we can bring up the contrast of this a little bit. Something like that. Let's go down to curves as well, and let's just add an anchor point here on the curve and bring that down ever so slightly to bring down the shadows a bit, and then we can bring up the highlights as well. And the midtones, we can kind of play around with that a little bit. We don't want it too dark. Maybe we can bring up the exposure a bit to like 0.2 or something like that. Actually, no, I don't even like it. I might bring the shadows up a bit, something like that. And let's have a look at that. So it's quite dark down here. I might just bring down the contrast a bit. So let's just turn off this. You can see that the difference that that's made to our colors. It's kind of popping out a bit more. It was a bit flat before we did that. So that's a bit of an improvement on our colors. Now what we can also do is, well, we need to copy, see the changes. So we need to copy that effect to our single frame as well. Otherwise it's going to look strange just jumping back. So hit Control C on this. Just select your Mantato sequence, hit Control C on the effect, and then pop into the single frame, and you can just Control V and that'll go into it there. And another little kind of a touch we can add to this is to add a bit of blur to the kind of outer parts of this shot. So if we just duplicate this sequence, select it, hit Control D, let's solo it there by clicking on this little circle button here. So that'll just solo, that'll turn off everything else except for this layer. Then we can grab the ellipse tool, and we're just going to create a mask. So hover around the center of your scene and just kind of click and drag. Hold down Control, and then you'll get that scaling out from the center. And we're going to create a shape kind of like this. And select your layer, hit M to show masks, and we can set this mask to be inverted. So we're only going to be affecting the outer part of this. Now we can go ahead and blur this layer using a Gaussian blur. So just search for that in your effects. How do you spell Gaussian blur? I'd forgotten. Okay, so where is it? Yeah, okay, here it is. So making sure that this Mantato sequence, the duplicate of this, the one we're working on, making sure that's selected, just double click on the effect, and then we can bring up the blur of this. So you can see that we're blurring this quite a bit. And we want to select this layer, hit F on your keyboard so that we're going to be able to feather this mask to a value of something like 100. And then if we turn off this isolation button, now you can see that we have a nice smooth blend. We got a nice bit of blur going on there. It's just kind of a nice little effect. And we need to do the same for this single frame. So we're going to Control D to duplicate it. We can grab this mask that we already created, hit Control C and paste that into the new single frame layer. So let's solo this so we can see what we're doing. Then we need to grab the Gaussian blur that we created for this this sequence and grab that Gaussian blur, Control C it, and then Control V it. So now this is also blurred, and then we can turn off this isolation or the solo button as well. So now it's not going to change between the sequence and the single frame. Another thing we're going to be able to do as well is we're going to, just to make this even more cinematic, is we're going to add some little black bars to the top and the bottom of our video. So let's just make this black, and I'm going to create a shape here. Something like that. And I'm going to, where's my align tools? Just going to align this to the top. I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and then align that one to the bottom. So now we have those little black bars that kind of make it look a little bit cooler. I would like to have these a bit thicker, but I don't want to cut off the top of Mantato's head. Okay, that's it, guys. So whether or not you want to keep these black bars, I mean, I don't think they look as good if they can't be a bit bigger. So I might just turn those off and leave it as. Okay guys, this has definitely been the longest tutorial ever, so I'd be surprised if any of you are still here at the very end. So for those of you who made it this far, well done. We did get a lot covered, and I hope you did learn a lot. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, please do subscribe, and don't forget to smash that like button. I'll see you in the next video.